Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Robery, and today I have Jackson. If you are streaming on YouTube with us, I have my son Jackson Robery with us this weekend. Jackson wanted to hop in and talk to everybody this week, so glad to have you, buddy. I know you're with me all the time, and you guys are pretty familiar if you tune in on a regular basis to the show or to the YouTube channel. You guys are familiar with Jackson. He's with me all the time, been with me since, 5 years old, dragging him in and out the woods. And this kid, for his age, going on 13, you're going to be 13 here in the next couple of months, hitting the teenage years. So he's been through it all. He has a lot of experience as a hunter for his age, guys. And we hope you enjoy his content that he brings to you. He does his own thing also. He has his own Instagram page. If you guys go check out X Hunter, that's Jackson and his page that he does with his outdoor hunting and fishing, all that type of stuff. So glad to have you in with Dad this weekend on the podcast. And we are just outside enjoying this beautiful weather we had come through this weekend. So I'm excited about that. Kind of get you in the mood again, guys. We're getting closer and closer every week with waterfowl season quickly approaching here in Louisiana. We are now mid-October, and we're just a couple of weeks away, right about a month away from the opener here in Louisiana for the first zone opener. So looking forward to it. I hope this weather kind of sticks around this time because, to be honest with you, it's been hot. It's been really, really hot. If you've been following us on our YouTube channel or listening to the episodes that we did lately, we have been hunting. We've been in the woods. We had a small game opener open up here in Louisiana over the last couple of weeks, and we have been in the woods for the first 2 weekends of that. So fighting mosquitoes. That's pretty much been a lot of mosquitoes. The heat, not having much cold fronts or cool fronts even come through, and it's just been warm. But you know what? That ain't gonna stop us. We're gonna go. We're gonna hunt, and we're gonna get out there and we're gonna participate in the season because it only lasts so long. So, but we've been having some success, even though the weather's been warm. We have been able to kill some squirrels, so we've been putting some squirrels in the freezer. We're gonna get to eat some squirrel gravies, I guess, come duck season when we all get together at the camp, huh? Mm-hmm. Jackson's been after me. He's been wanting me to cook a squirrel gravy for him, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're looking forward to it. So we're gonna try to get a couple of those tree rats in the freezer before duck season. That way, once the season starts, it's gonna be nonstop waterfowl hunting at that point, huh?
Yeah.
You looking forward to duck season?
Yes.
Yes. What you looking forward to?
What do you mean by that? What am I looking forward
Like,
to?
what are you excited about for duck season? I know you said yesterday, you said it's almost duck season.
Yeah, because I'm kind of looking forward to trying to shoot a new duck that I haven't shot this year or in my life before at all.
What's the duck you want to get this year?
Okay, so I want to get a widgeon.
A widgeon. Okay.
I want to get a widgeon, but the duck I really want to get is a mallard, but a widgeon's probably my best.
A widgeon's a beautiful duck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I had my bucket list of ducks I wanted to mount, the widgeon was the one duck that I really wanted because we don't get the widgeon down here in Louisiana that we used to get. You don't remember this because of your age, but when I was starting out duck hunting, we used to see widgeon pretty regularly. Yeah. And now we don't nearly see the amounts of widgeon that we used to see. From the most part, a lot of the widgeon that come down our flyway tend to go to Texas nowadays. Texas gets a lot of widgeon. I've been watching. I watch a lot of YouTube. I know you watch a lot of YouTube, and we got turned on. We've been watching the guys from Ducks Waterfowl. Flair is what he goes by on YouTube, and he's up in Nebraska, and I watch a lot of their videos lately, and they are killing a lot of widgeon up in Nebraska in that area. So I was kind of surprised they get that many widgeon up in that area.
I haven't seen them kill a widgeon before on their channel.
Yeah, oh yeah, they have. If you go back and you watch some of his videos, they oftentimes kill widgeon. So, but a widgeon is a beautiful bird. I know you were with me just a couple of years ago whenever we were hunting in Sherburne Wildlife Management area, which is where we have a camp at. I was able to get a widgeon. That was about what, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. And that may have been the last time we seen a widgeon, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now I do have one that's mounted at the camp that I have hanging on the wall that I killed with my good buddy Dustin Jumanville at Sherburne just probably about 6-7 years ago, and it was a beautiful drake. I'll never forget that day because we saw that drake widgeon coming from quite a ways off, and that bird was flying towards us. And when it got close enough for us to identify it, I looked at Dustin, or I mentioned to Dustin, I said, "That's a widgeon," and it was by itself. And Dustin got excited, and he jumps up when it got over the spread, over the hole, and he boom, boom, boom. He fires off 3 shots, and he missed all 3. He shot those 3 shots before I could even get up and shoot a shot. And man, he hops up, fires off 3 rounds, and misses it. And that drake, it's like it in my memory, it just stayed on the same path, even though he shot, which I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure it kind of flared off. And I pull up and I shoot, and we dropped it. And I looked at him, and he looks at me, and he does, "Well," he says, "we know who killed that one." He said, we know I didn't kill that one because I shot all 3 and missed it right off the bat. So we started laughing, and it was kind of fun, and we made a joke about it. But it was just, we went to pick it up, and it was a beautiful, fully plumed drake widgeon. So I was very lucky to get that bird, and I'm very blessed to have got that bird. And that bird is now on our wall that we could tell that story about, and we could laugh about. So
that widgeon at the camp that's mounted is the reason I keep wanting to kill a widgeon.
Really?
Because I just look at it and I'm like, I want to kill a widgeon.
You want to kill a widgeon? Yeah. It's a gorgeous bird. Widgeons, when you get those drakes and they have that green and that brown, and their colors are unique. It's just it's a beautiful bird. I think all ducks are beautiful birds for the most part, but yeah, a widgeon is definitely a bird that's on most people's bucket list. So.
And then we got the wood duck that I mounted last year.
Yep.
Last year?
Yeah, we sure are. Was it last year or the year before? It was the year before.
Yeah, the year before.
It was 2 years ago. Jackson he killed his first wood duck, and we got it mounted for him, and we had a local taxidermist here in Gonzales mounted for him, and he did a really good job, and now we have it on the wall of the camp as well. So
yeah.
Yep. So widgeon is on the bucket list this year. I know you are big into the wood ducks now because you found something last year. Why don't you tell everybody about what you found last year?
So we have this little spot that we hunt. What's it called again? The behind.
We can't be giving all that away. We hunt public land, man. You don't want to give all the names of the holes away.
A bunch of people hunt it though.
Well, it's community holes, but
so we hunt.
Come on now, I gotta teach you better than that.
We hunt this hole in the back of Sherburne, and then we were hunting it one day, and then we just started hearing a bunch of wood ducks behind us where we were hunting. We just started hearing them whistle and everything, and we were like, let's go look. So we started walking back there, just a bunch of timber holes, and we just saw them everywhere. But like the more we went towards them, the more they just went away from us. So we decided that the next morning we were just going to go back there early in the morning and catch them by surprise. But my dad, he stayed in the blind for like the early ducks in our original hole. And I went back there, and I went back there, and then there was these 2 wood ducks that just came and they landed. They caught me by surprise, and then they were coming towards each other. And then once they got in the middle but towards each other, I shot and I got both of them.
That's right. You got a double out of it. So it was actually your plan, to do what we did last year when we found me and you, I guess, together found the birds. We knew where they were, or at least we knew where they were coming from. But we were trying to figure out where these particular wood ducks were going once they left the roost in the morning, because we could hear them in the dark.
Yeah.
We could hear them, and we knew that they were leaving at a certain time, and they were going somewhere not too far from where we were hunting at. But we needed to kind of find that X to see where they were going. So it was your idea. You said, Dad, why don't I think I know where they're going to. Why don't I get out of the boat? I'm gonna throw on my waders, because we typically hunt out of a boat blind. That's what we hunt out of. We have a boat blind set up, so we're pretty mobile being on public land.
You can't take a boat in there though.
Can't take a boat into this particular spot where these birds were going. So you said, hey, I'm going to put on my waders and I'm going to walk in there before daylight, before shooting time, legal shooting time. And I'm going to go set up because I think I know where they're going to, or pretty close to where they're going to. And I said, okay. I said, well, if you do that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stay in the boat. And I'm going to try to see if I can't maybe, have some, intercept or pick off some of the big ducks that come in early to the hole that the main hole we were hunting.
Like we said, like our big ducks, like widgeon, mallard, teal,
yeah,
stuff like that.
All the big duck flight, pretty much. So we figured that if you went into the woods, you might be able to get some of those wood ducks we were chasing and trying to find, and then I would stay and try to hopefully get a couple of the big ducks. So my me remembering back kind of how it went is I was in the boat. It was, obviously I'm sitting there quiet. I hear some of them wood ducks getting up. I could see them flying, but the particular hole we were hunting, those wood ducks, they get used to it and they know kind of where to go and where not to go. So that they try to stay away from those open water holes. And I was seeing them leave the woods where they were roosting at overnight, and they were flying around the hole and they were going to the back of me, which is where you were. And I remember being quiet because I'm waiting on some birds, come in. I heard a couple of birds flying right before daylight. And I'm just doing my thing in the duck blind, okay? And then all of a sudden, I hear bing, bang, boom, 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 and you shooting like it's a war going on behind me. And I can remember I'm anxious because I want to know what you're shooting at. I'm like, my God, is he shooting at ducks? I hope he's not shooting at squirrels or something else, So
I did shoot one.
You did shoot one squirrel, yeah, you did. But I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, maybe he found them. He knows where they are, and sure enough, you did. So for everybody listening, how did that work out? You sitting there in the dark, you set up on a cypress tree. Okay, so go and take it from there.
So I'm sitting up on this little tree, and I'm walking, and I'm trying to find like a little tiny hole in the trees, like a little opening so they can come in.
Yep.
And so I'm just trying to find a little spot where it's not too thick. And I just saw them flying everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna come in. So should I just shoot at them from far, or should I just wait till they land? And I was about to shoot at one in the air, and then I saw these two just come on from the side of me, and they just landed in the water. And I'm like, hold on.
So,
go get them.
So were these birds, when you say you saw them flying everywhere, were they flying over the trees, or are they flying and dive bombing into where you were into the woods?
They were flying like at the tree line.
At the tree line?
Yeah.
And we hunting a cypress break is what it is. So, it's not real big, tall trees. So, but these birds are flying over the trees. And do you see them coming through the trees, landing into the swamp, or were they going somewhere else?
They were just going into the trees and landing in the water and all that thick stuff that they could get in.
So they dive bombing into where you were, kind of or at least the general area of where you were.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have two, you said, that come in and they just land right by you, not too far.
They land. They weren't very close to me. I can say they were kind of far away from me.
Never saw you. And they hit the water and they started swimming, or what did they?
They landed far enough to where I couldn't see what they were.
Really?
But I knew they were wood ducks because they were all around me.
You could hear them whistling, and yeah, you're just making that wood duck sound. You know what it is. Yeah. So you shoot those two, and then what happens?
So I shoot those two, and
you got both of those.
I got both of them.
Okay.
And that's why you heard me shoot again, because I crippled them. I didn't kill them. I had to shoot them again because they weren't dead.
Okay.
So while I'm going to get those, I'm walking. I try to go back to my hole that I was at, and while I'm doing that, I look up and I see a squirrel in the tree.
Okay, so you got wood ducks flying around. You have two wood ducks that are dead on the water, and you see a squirrel.
I just look up and I see a squirrel, and I'm like, it's still squirrel season. Hold on.
And the coon ass in you takes over at that point, I guess.
And I just shoot it, and he falls, and then I go get him, and then I pick him up, and I was like, well, I got three.
You got a squirrel and two wood ducks. Okay.
So I get those, and then I will go walk back to my hole, and I'm like, I'm not seeing very much. So I'm gonna go back to the blind. So I'm walking back, and I hear wee 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 wee. I just hear a bunch of wood ducks, and then I'm very open,
You're in the wide open at that
I'm
point.
in the wide open. So, but I still had a bunch of trees, so I'm just like, hold on. I slowly just start turning around in my waders, and then I just see a group of 4 wood ducks like in the air, like in the forest flying, just coming.
They coming through the trees.
They coming through the trees. They weren't trying to land though. They were just flying around in the trees. So I come, and then I guess they saw me like at the last second. So like they kind of peeled off, but then I just shot. I didn't really aim. I just shot because they were all bunched up. I just aimed at that little bunch.
How far were they from you? They were pretty close to you?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
So I just shoot, and then I see one fall. I folded him. I see him fall, and he goes into some sticker bushes. And I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be painful. but I'm like, I don't care about that because I'm so happy I got him out the air.
At this point, this is your best solo duck hunt you've ever made in your life.
Yeah, I think that was Isn't that the first time you ever let me like go by myself?
Yeah, on a duck hunt, yes, kind of stray away from me and leave me. Yes, it was.
Yeah, because like I wasn't that far from you, and like we know that it's just like wood ducks and all that.
And I'm hearing all this shooting. Okay, so as your dad, I'm like so excited because I'm like, oh my god, what does he have? You know.
And when I got back to the blind, you were like, "Did you get him?"
Yeah, I see you coming through the woods, and I can see you, you know, walking in your waders, and you waist deep in water. And I see some feathers. The sunlight kind of comes through the trees, and it hits those ducks, and I can see those colors on that wood duck, and I'm like, all right, he got at least one. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's never shot on the wing before, really, you know, a bunch of ducks. And, you know, a lot of times you were shooting them on the water before that, you know, you were water swatting them and stuff like that. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, all that shooting, hopefully he has at least one. Well, I see the colors on the duck coming through the woods with you. I'm like, okay, you got at least one.
So I got my limit of wood ducks and a squirrel.
Yeah, and as you get close to man, you smiling ear to ear. You can't control yourself. You're so excited. And I'm like, what? And you're like, I got three. I got my limit. And I'm like, go ahead, man. And then you hold up a squirrel, a sopping wet squirrel because it fell in the swamp water, and this squirrel's soaking wet. And in the duck seed. And you have a squirrel and 3 wood ducks. What a way to start out the morning, huh? You had to be pumped up, huh?
I was freaking out, and you said, get back in the blind, get back in the blind.
Yeah, get back in the blind. I told you because they had some birds flying over the hole. You remember that? I had 2 gadwall that worked the hole, came in, and I shot, and I got 1 out of the 2. And then later on, you remember the wood duck that I killed that came at us?
That's what I was about to talk about. So, like, as I'm getting in the blind, there's some wood ducks that come from the woods that I was hunting. They come, and then we had a tree in the way. So they come, they circle around, and then one of them just lands. We shoot at one. I think you missed, and then the drake was about to get up, and you shot the drake and got him.
Got the drake. That's right.
You didn't get.
Was that the one that like almost hit the blind? I can't remember. Remember the one that came in? I think it was Jackson. I think it was the one. So I'm sitting there. They get up and they circle the hole, like you said, from behind us. That's them. And then it's a hen and a drake wood duck. They come around. They see our hole. They must have locked onto the decoys we had set up. They come into the hole, and the drake wood duck comes and flies, and he's coming directly at us. He almost hits the blind. Never sees us at all. Hits the water. Because I was turned talking to you, watching you get in the boat. He comes, I hear poosh. The hen lands and hits the water. And then when I turn, as I'm turning, this drake wood duck's flying towards me. And almost hits the blind. That's how close we were, which is great because obviously we were concealed enough for them not to know we were there, which is something we're going to talk about in a second, concealment, you know. And this drake wood duck just hits the water right next to the blind. And I pull up and I stand up and he looks at me and I look at him and you can see his head just going back and forth. He's freaking out because he's like, oh.
He's like, where do I go?
Yeah, where do I go? And I'm too close to him to shoot the shot because I would have blown him up. You know, I was that close to him. I could have literally reached out and hit him with my gun, you know, and swatted him.
You had to wait till he got up in the air.
So I'm like, I holler at him and he's looking around and his head's bobbing back and forth and he jumps up. Eventually, I have to holler at him a few times. He jumps up and he tries to fly out of this little cut away from us. And as he gets up, I let him get just far enough and I shot and I folded him. So it was really interesting. That was just a good morning where we, you know, it kind of was funny how it all worked out.
of course, the day that we found the birds was the last hunt.
That was I think the last hunt of the season.
But we were hunting one day before all this happened. We hunted on the Saturday that it happened, and we thought that was going to be our last hunt, and we weren't going to hunt again.
That's right. We were able to make one more hunt.
We were able to make one more hunt, but on that hunt, we also did pretty good on that hunt too, because that's the hunt where we had all the motion decoys. We didn't have any of the just normal decoys. We had only motion out. That was it.
That's right.
And we had them wood ducks come from behind us, and they went, and we were like, oh, they're gone. And then they circle back around with, like, super far, and they come in. They come in from the side, and we can't see them. We're not ready because the trees are right there. They come in. There's like 4 of them that just land in the day. And they all land, and then I got one on the water that was like over here.
Yep, on the left side.
And then you got one up that was like over here. Did you get 2 or 1?
I got 2 out of that group, 2. And you got 1.
Yeah, and so we got 3.
So we got 3 out of the 4. So one of them got out and got away after we shot.
We got a wood duck limit.
So we did. We had together. We had a 1-man wood duck limit on that little shoot. So yeah, that was pretty cool too.
I'm pretty sure that was the only ducks we killed that day.
I don't remember. I don't remember if we had those 3 or not. I think we had an opportunity. We had 2 gadwall come in that we ended up whiffing on, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't that when I went to go get the birds and you said, "Be quiet"?
Yes.
You whistled at me.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we had those 3 birds we had on the strap, and then we had 2 birds on the strap. You go to get a 3rd wood duck that was a little further out that we had shot, and at that point, while you're in the decoys trying to pick up the bird, you remember I told you be quiet, and you hunched down, and all of a sudden, kind of caught me off guard is what it was. I never saw them. They came from behind us in the cypress trees, and these 2 gadwall locked up. It was a hen and a Drake gadwall. Locks up over the spread, and when I turned, they were there already. And it was kind of, when I turned, I think I flared them is what it was, and they kind of did a dip and a dive, and I pull up and I shoot, and I missed. I just missed them. I was trying to chase them, and catch up to them.
Yeah. So it was an awesome hunt, and it was like one of our best hunts so far through the season. It was the last 2 hunts that were our best hunts, and yeah.
We say best hunts just because of the way it went down. That was pretty cool,
Yeah, and we got it's all wood ducks though. Like we know, that you have wood ducks because we're hunting in the timber. You know that the wood ducks are there, and you know that's what you're gonna kill.
Yeah. So you're looking forward to going back this year because we feel pretty confident that those wood ducks, at least, as bad as the seasons have been over the last several years, we kind of feel pretty confident. You do, I know for sure, and I do too, as well. That we got that to at least rely on. This year.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna go hunt that timber.
We'll definitely hunt that timber. Hopefully, I think those wood ducks are still gonna be in that area.
Yeah.
They just live there, I think.
Yeah. See, so this last year only I went in there. So this year we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put our blind and our decoys out and stuff. So like nobody kind of like goes there, and then me and him are gonna go in the back and get the wood ducks, and then come back for the big ducks.
Yeah, it's only about a 50-yard walk behind our blind.
Yeah.
So it's easy for us to go in the dark. We'll walk in with our spotlights. We could set up, kind of try to see if we can get some of those wood duck limits early on to at least, put some birds on the strap. And then if we have an opportunity to shoot our wood ducks, we'll come back out, get in the boat, and then we could wait for the big duck flight, a little bit later on.
I have the spot marked on X.
Yes. So on X is something that we use. I mean, you've heard us talk about it, guys. We use it religiously. A lot of you guys are using it. I know now it's very popular amongst the waterfowl hunting, community. And that thing for public land has been a lifesaver for us. I pay for the paid subscription, but you don't have to pay for a subscription. You can use the free version. I know you use the free version, and you can do everything that I can except for see if it's who owns the land, if it's private versus public.
That's the good thing about it, because you can see what's public land and what's private land and what you can and cannot hunt.
Yeah, definitely. In Louisiana, it's different. I know from a lot of you who are up north and you listen to the show, and where you could go and you could ask for permission to be able to hunt, a farmer's property and stuff like that. I can see where it'd be very useful for that. Definitely. Down here in Louisiana, that's not exactly how we do it. You go knock on somebody's door here, and I've mentioned this before, and you ask, hey, can I hunt your property? They're going to probably look at you like you're absolutely insane or greet you with a shotgun or something at the door. So it's just not something that they do down here. They hold that close to the vest as far as private land and stuff like that. You're not really going to be asking for permission to hunt somebody's property. So,
But we are looking forward either this Thanksgiving or Christmas to go take a trip to Oklahoma, right?
yeah, we're looking. We have a friend of ours who has a friend of his that owns a ranch up in Oklahoma, and the owner of the ranch has got into waterfowl hunting over the last couple of years because he has noticed that he has an abundance of waterfowl up there.
Yeah.
He's caught the bug. He's excited about waterfowl hunting. He knows my good buddy real well. They do business together, and he knows that he loves to waterfowl hunt as well. And he told him that him and I hunt together. And he said, "Hey, you guys need to make a trip up here to Oklahoma." He says, "I have plenty of birds typically during big duck season, and we need to get together and make an event. You guys will come up, cook for me." He said, "And we'll hunt together." So we're going to take him up on that. We plan on trying to make that trip happen sometime around the Thanksgiving break, or if not, if the birds aren't in big numbers up around there, Thanksgiving break, we're going to maybe go during Christmas. And as a backup plan, if for some reason the birds just don't show up there, they don't have good numbers, we have another spot in Texas that we're invited to go to this year. Yeah, same Mr. Charlie. He has a buddy in Texas that told us we could make a trip up there. They kill a lot of widgeon up there. So if you want that widgeon, that'd be a good spot for us to maybe go to. So we're looking forward to a couple of opportunities.
Go to Oklahoma in Thanksgiving, go to Texas in Christmas.
Yeah, Mama would love that. She'd love us to leave for both holidays like that. But she's on board, it seems like, so that's a good thing. So
take her with us and rent a cabin.
Yeah, Mama's not coming. Way too cold for her. Way too cold for her to make that trip. But yeah, guys. So we're excited. I'm sure, like you are. We're looking forward to the season, and getting it kicked off. And today we're actually going to be taking out the mud motor setup. Today we're going to go run it just to put a little bit of time on it, make sure everything's good before we go. We got the blind on the boat, so that's a good thing. That's set up and ready. For the most part, we stay ready year round. We do a good job of tying up loose ends at the end of the season, storing it, doing our maintenance on all that stuff. So we're excited. We're pretty much ready to go. We'll pull out the decoys here shortly and take a look, charge everything up on the motion decoys, make sure all the batteries are good, just your general maintenance stuff.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say something. Going back to Mr. Charlie and them and hunting in Oklahoma and all that, it seems like every time you go hunting with him, y'all always get y'all limits.
We do well. Me and Charlie have good luck together, and he hunts down here in the marsh, the Louisiana marsh, quite often. He hunts the Biloxi marsh. He hunts Pointe-au-Chien, areas like that. Last year, he was kind enough to invite me on the coastal opener with him last year. We actually hunted on the Monday after the opener. So he hunted that Saturday and Sunday, and he was off Monday, and he invited me. He said, "Hey, you want to come down and hunt with me? We have a bunch of gadwall that were in the marsh over the weekend. We limited out both days." And I said, "Hell yeah, I'm going to make that trip." So I went, I met him, and he wasn't lying. It didn't disappoint, I have to admit. We absolutely hammered the gadwall. And we had a 2-man limit of gadwall in no time. It was kind of funny because he's out. We go in. We took a mud motor in, and it's limited restrictions on what horsepower. So he had Mr. Charlie Perilou owns started his own company. He's been building boats for many years as a side hobby, and now we've partnered with him and his company, Game Changer Boats. He is now full throttle. A full-fledged LLC, a legit business, and he is now making hunting boats and fishing boats, aluminum custom fishing boats for the general public, and he does phenomenal work, man. I mean, his boats are awesome. He just does a really good job with it. And we took one of his custom-built boats last year down there when we went to the Biloxi Marsh, and we went in. He had a 23 long tail on it, because it has limited restriction on horsepower. And when we got there, he had a pirogue that was set up in some marsh grass that they leave out there just to, go and fetch birds and pick up birds. And I remember he goes to hide he drops me off in the little makeshift blind that we hunted, and he goes to drop off and hide the duck boat. And while he's out there, man, I look up, I put some shells, and I hear that sound coming over me, those wings. And boy, I look up and these gadwall are locked up, man. 2 gadwall. I pull up and I shoot and boom, I drop both of them.
Get in the blind.
And I can see him. He's turned around looking at me and he's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "Did you get him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I got dropped both of them. So I'm hollering at him across the marsh.
Get in the blind.
I'm like, "Get over here, get over here." And he's like, "I'm coming, I'm coming."
They coming in.
So he's I can see him in his little pirogue and he's paddling across and he looks like an Olympic paddler, rower. And he's coming across the marsh and he gets in. He gets close to the bar, picks up my 2 gadwall and he throws them in there. He's like, "Man, you couldn't wait for me?" And I'm like, "Hell," I said, "I heard them wings." I looked up and they were locked up on me, man. I said, I shot. It was just instinct. And we laughing about it, but we absolutely hammered them that morning.
Yeah, and those of you who look at the YouTube channel and the Instagram, he actually posted a video of a gadwall that he shot on the marsh.
Yeah, we caught it on camera. It was pretty cool. We called it in, and we do have a little video clip of it on our YouTube channel. From the Biloxi Marsh. If you go check that out, you'll see what we're talking about. But that's actually the camera that we shot it with. It was one of the cheaper action cameras, and the video is not as great as what we got now with the GoPros and the better cameras. But this season, I'm looking forward to getting you guys some good footage on video with the upgrades we did on cameras this year. So that's.
Because this year we got a better GoPro than we did whenever we filmed it at the Biloxi Marsh.
Yeah, we sure do. So looking forward to that. So that's going to be real fun. So I'm going to make a trip with him this year. We talked yesterday actually, and he said, "Hey, we're going to go that Monday when the season opens up again. We're going to hunt that Monday because a lot less people." And he said we're going to make that trip again. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully it'll be a repeat of last year. With the hurricane coming through Louisiana just about a month or about 2 months ago now. It's going to be interesting to see how the marsh, withstand all the damage from Hurricane Ida. So hopefully, it wasn't too bad, and we'll be able to have some birds and have a good season for all the guys down in the coastal marshes this year. So
hopefully I'm off of school.
Hopefully you're off of school, huh? So Jackson's always hoping he's off of school for those week hunts because he likes it. We usually do well, and he knows we do well, so he likes that. So
yeah, I got in trouble whenever they went hunt that day, so I couldn't go.
What you did? You remember? I don't remember that.
Whenever I had to go to ISSP.
Oh, yeah. He got in a little trouble at school. And I told him, I said, that better never happen again. So you got to stay out of it, which I'm blessed. You're a good kid. You don't get in trouble very often. So you got to learn, though.
I got in trouble for not having my mask on.
Not having your mask on.
Thanks,
that's right.
COVID.
On the school bus, huh?
Mm-hmm. On the school bus. I mean, it's a school bus. Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, that whole mask thing, you don't even get me started on all that stuff. I think a lot of us have had enough of that stuff. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, I know we've been telling you guys some stories. I hope y'all are enjoying them. But this week, I really, not to keep it too long because we went a little bit longer on all the storytelling than we expected to. But, this week something caught my attention, following social media on Facebook, a lot of the forums, Louisiana duck hunters specifically this week I'm referencing. There was several questions on there that kind of sparked my interest. I was reading up on what you guys were saying out there in the Facebook community, and questions in regards to blinds, duck hunting blinds, and that's something that's often overlooked. I guess we don't talk about that a whole lot. We did do an episode over the last couple of seasons on the podcast about concealment and how concealment is definitely key in bringing more ducks to your strap and having some success in the blind. But we really never talk about the different setups in blinds. And what I mean by that is all the different styles. You may have access to public land to where you guys could be hunting pit blinds. You could be hunting a traditional built wood frame blind. And then you guys like us that hunt public land, what's your setup? You have to be extremely mobile on public land. So like us in our situation, we have a boat blind that we have on our duck boat setup, so that's a blind that, is a possibility. You may not have access to a boat blind or may have a boat with no boat blind on it, but you hunt public land. So you may have a brush blind that you hunt out of that you got to go and you got to set up. So there's so many different styles of blinds that, are possibilities when you're out there hunting. And that's something that I think a lot of people overlook sometimes. But what do you guys hunt? What do you prefer? I had somebody message me this week. We were talking about it, and they said, "Hey, I see you have a boat blind on your boat. What do you guys use to cover it up? What do y'all use? How do you cover it up? What type is it? A brand of blind? Did you make your blind? What's the situation there?" And with our setup, we have a manufactured boat blind by Beavertail Products. We run a Beavertail mud motor, and Beavertail is a brand that when I was working at Cabela's, we sold. They've been in the waterfowl industry for quite some time, just like other brands like you may have on your boat, such as Avery blinds or other. I know there's a million different brands out there now. But we do run a Beavertail blind on our setup, and it's a heck of a damn good blind. It really is. It's made with a windproof material. It's a pop-up blind that's easy to set up. You can set it up very quickly on it. Has your typical shooting ports, all that type of stuff. In our boat, we have a 1648 is the size that we hunt. So we don't hunt any more than 3 hunters if we're hunting out of the boat blind.
Yeah, there's 4 shooting ports, but we only hunt 3 because the boat's kind of tighter.
Yeah, it's tighter. It's a smaller boat. The blind that we hunt now actually was designed for a 17-foot boat. I had it on a different boat whenever I had my previous boat, and it fitted better than it actually fits the boat that I have now. But I didn't want to have to dispose of it or sell it and get a whole new blind, so I went ahead and I transferred it over to the new boat. But yeah, when we're hunting that, it's a good setup for us. And we've done, we don't just go out there with just the blind itself. We do cover up, we add on to it. And, concealment is key when it comes to a good blind, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is you want to be covered up. You want to look natural. And no matter what blind, whether it's a pit blind, whether it's a wood frame blind, whether it's a boat blind, a brush blind, the most important thing, in my opinion, is matching your surroundings, and you hear guys talk about that. But what does that mean? Not match your surroundings. So it's just like when you're picking out your camo, that you wear, your camouflage clothing. You don't want to show up in the swamp with, marsh grass camouflage, something that's bright colored when you don't have any of the marsh grass around you in the swamp. That's just an example. So you want to match your surroundings. So, when we hunt in the swamp, we do a lot of hunting in public land in the swamps, in the Louisiana swamps, the Chaffalot Basin, areas similar to the Chaffalot Basin. So what we typically cover up our blind is we use the basic blind. Once it's set up, we add, different types of stuff throughout the years. I've tried fast grass, and I've even painted fast grass, to match more of a swamp scene, like your darker colors, your greens, your blacks, your browns, that type of stuff. I personally don't like fast grass because I don't find it holds up for what we have to pay for it nowadays. It's very, very expensive. And I just don't think it holds up. Over the years when I've used it, I've seen where during it made it maybe the first split, and then I was having to add on and buy more and, this and that. And the stuff just gets expensive. It gets super expensive. So I strayed away from that now with the fast grass. I don't find it holds up. So what I do is I try to use natural stuff. You and I, we go out into the swamp. We use burlap. We use 3D netting, which I'm not a huge fan of 3D net, the camo 3D netting, the military netting, because it hangs up on everything, right? Yeah. I mean, you see me, Jackson sees me sometimes. I'm so pissed off because when I'm using that stuff, it's hanging up on the mud motor handles, the shotgun barrels, and I'm ripping it. I'm throwing pieces out of the boat. And it's a good look, but I don't like how it hangs up on everything. So I try to stray away from that now a little bit too, which we still do have a little bit of it on the blind though.
Yeah, so we use that, and we also use moss.
Moss, yes, moss is actually one of the best concealment tools that you could put on a blind, and that really I find that moss is versatile. I mean, it can be used just about anywhere, but especially hunting in the swamps. In any kind of cypress breaks, all that type of stuff, all that type of stuff. Moss is natural. I mean, the ducks are so used to seeing that stuff around that they don't tend to flare off of anything that's covered in moss. Anytime we've had a blind, we don't get a lot of flare offs when we have a moss set up on our blind. And we'll just go out like today. We may even do it. We're going to probably gather some today. We'll go out on the local waterways, and we'll just take trash bags. We'll take it, fill it up with moss off of the trees, and we'll bring it back home, take it out the bags, let it dry out, let it kind of do its thing. And then we'll take it and we'll bundle it and zip tie it to the blind is what we do.
Yeah,
You have something?
and sometimes like we in our neighborhood we have a bunch of trees, and sometimes I'll go on the 4-wheeler and I'll go collect some.
Yeah, you've had Jackson. Jackson has literally gone to our neighbors, knocked on their doors, and asked if he could get moss off their trees. And they like, well, what do you want it for? And he's like, for our duck blind. So they let him do it. He's done it. He's done it over the last couple of seasons. But we'll go out there. We'll collect a lot of moss. Moss already has a dead look to it, so it lasts quite a while. It lasts a long time. You could put moss on the blind and pretty much have it throughout the whole season. You don't have to change it. We even got some on the blind now that's from last season. It still looks exactly the same. So it's a great addition to add to your blind to conceal your blind. And we'll just zip tie it to it. And another thing, I was talking to a friend of mine this week. He was asking me about it, palmettos. Palmettos, and I like palmettos personally, to be honest with you, because it doesn't take nearly as much to cover your blind. Palmettos are pretty common down here in Louisiana. They're all over the swamps. You have palmettos in the swamps, and they're easy. What I like to do is we take them, we cut them at the base, and then we'll go ahead, bring them home, let them dry out, and start turning yellow. So
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like some people might be saying, like, oh, they're too green, they're too bright. The ducks aren't gonna like that. Well, we let them turn yellow, and like just let them sit and turn yellow and turn different colors, so that when you put them on the blind, they won't be super bright.
That's right. That's right. So early in the season, you could get away with them being green, okay? Because we have more green. Like right now, you look at the trees, we have green on the trees. So in the swamp, that green kind of matches it. But as we start getting colder, the leaves are falling off the trees, everything's turning yellow, which right now we're in mid-October. That's starting. You can see on these trees already. You got your green, but you got your leaves starting to turn yellow. They're starting to fall. So those palmettos, when you let them dry out, they're going to start turning and wilting, and they'll start turning yellow. But the good thing with palmettos is they keep their shape. They don't shrink up. They don't shrivel up. They kind of keep their full form, even though that they die off and they lose that green color. And what happens is as they turn yellow, they also kind of accumulate. It's black mixed in with the yellow. So you have those darker colors mixed in also. And then on top of that, if it doesn't match your surroundings exactly, hey guys, it ain't nothing to get a can of spray paint and spray paint them. They take spray paint really, really well. So I've done that where I've spray painted them black or brown or dark green. So they're easy to paint, and we paint everything else from mojo poles to our motors to our boats, all this other stuff. It's nothing to be able to spray paint some palmettos to help conceal your blind if you're trying to put them on your blind.
And like you said, going back to how like if you leave them out, they won't like shrivel up or get smaller or something like that.
They fan out. They cover a lot more area. You don't need as much of them.
Yeah, and that's like with the moss, they won't like the moss will kind of get like it'll get like super hard kind of.
Yeah, it kind of shrivels just a little bit. But we zip tie it to the blind so it holds it on real well. But it's a combination that we use. So what we'll do, like I said, we'll have our blind, our beaver tail blind on the boat. If you look at us, if you ever see photos of us on the water with the blind, especially the last couple of seasons, because we've made this a high priority to make sure that the blind's concealed better than it used to be than we used to. We've learned, So we'll have the blind itself. We'll have burlap over that or some kind of 3D netting, like I said, and then we'll zip tie that moss to the blind over that material that we use. And then on the outside of the blind, it also has, on our particular blind, it has straps to where we could put brush in, clinging onto the blind to give it additional look of looking natural. So that's where the palmettos for us come in at. So we'll put those palmettos. They have a nice long stem on them. We could easily stick those stems into those elastic straps on the blind. And man, when you look at the moss combination, the 3D camo netting or the burlap, plus the blind itself that's already camouflaged, it sets up a really nice looking blind, and we can blend in pretty much anywhere. We could sit here and say that over the last several years, we don't typically have a lot of birds come in close that flare off of our blind. We just don't. And I think being concealed And matching our surroundings is a huge part of that, because on public land, these birds have seen it all, so being concealed is definitely a key to having some success. And whether our even though our strategy is for mobile hunting out of a boat blind, being mobile, that same setup could work for you guys that have a brush blind. Palmettos may work for you on a brush blind if you're hunting off the bank somewhere. Maybe you have a walk-in spot. And palmettos would be a good option because you could stick those stems in the ground in the soft mud, make you a nice blind. It looks very, very natural in the swamp scene, and it would do well to cover you.
And if y'all guys want a better explanation of what we're talking about and how we like to set it up on our blind, you can go to the YouTube channel or the Instagram and look at our blind of some videos that we posted and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we're going to get some shots. We'll get a couple of still shots this year once we have it set up and open and we're making a hunt. Maybe after a hunt, we'll take a couple of snapshots for you guys and we can share it on our pages just so you see what we're talking about. But my point is that you definitely, no matter what you're going to do, you want to match the surroundings. There's no better blind as far as the style of blind. And what I mean by that is, is a boat blind better than a fixed frame, wood constructed blind? Is it better than a pit blind? No. In my opinion, no, it doesn't. Every blind has what I'm trying to say here as far as a way, or I can't get it out what I'm trying to say, but it has a particular purpose for where you hunt at. If you're hunting in a rice field, you're hunting in a crawfish pond, a pit blind is typically what most guys are going to be hunting, especially here in South Louisiana, Arkansas. Any place where you hunt rice fields, you're going to be hunting a pit blind. You're going to want to match the hatch. Your pit blind is going to be in the levee. It's going to be in the ground, but you're going to have some brush over it. So that could be just some natural brush from around the wood line that's borders the crawfish ponds or the rice fields. You want to have something match that pit blind. If you hunting a wood frame blind and you out in the open marsh, a lot of times we'll see you got guys cut willows. When we hunt open water in the marsh, we'll cut willows and we'll set our boat up in a willow, little brush blind. Even though we have it, brushed up already, the blind, our boat blind, and we hunt an open water marsh, we'll get willow trees, we'll get something like that, and we'll stick it up in the water all around the blind just to add some additional cover. What I do see a lot of guys over the last several years, and this is something that I see happen quite a bit, is these guys they'll go buy a brand new duck hunt boat and they'll put a boat blind on it, an $800 boat blind on it, but then they don't brush it up with nothing. They might put a little bit of fast grass, but they don't really brush it up. And when I'm looking at the guys from across the way, you hunt public land, a lot of times you're somewhat close to each other. I can see the guys in the blind. I can see everything they're doing. They drinking coffee, they cooking, they messing around, and talking, and you can see everything inside the blind. So if I could see that from 150 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards away, then the ducks definitely are seeing it.
Like 200 or 300 feet up in the air.
Yeah, because they got the best view of everybody, So they up above, they got a bird's eye view of it.
But this year, I was taught, I might have heard about it. I got a drone this year.
Yeah, you did.
And I haven't thought about it yet, but I'm gonna try to use it in the duck hole and try to see what the ducks see so we can improve our blind and our spread a lot more.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of guys have taken advantage of with drones now. They could, definitely when you're doing some scouting or you want to just see before the season, opens up, you want to see what your hole looks like. Buying a drone or having a drone available to you to take a look at what a bird sees is another cool thing that you have, because the technology now has improved so much for us hunters, and it could get overwhelming. The technology could be overwhelming sometimes. It could be a blessing, but then sometimes you just got to go out there and you got to hunt. You just got to go hunt. Natural instincts play into that, and you want to be able to go out there and just hunt. You have to have natural instincts sometimes. That's definitely something that you need as a hunter to be successful. So. But yeah, I see guys, like I mentioned, I see guys that are out there and I can see in their blinds, and damn well the birds can see. So, just because you have a blind on your boat or, you have a blind, that's built in the woods somewhere, you need to make sure that you have enough cover and you look natural with your surroundings. That's the main point I want to share with everybody. And a lot of you guys know that already, but we kind of overlook it. We kind of think we're covered up better than we are sometimes. Go outside that blind that you have set up. Take a look at it from outside of the blind and see what you think once you look at it there. Get somebody that's with you, one of your hunting buddies, to give you his opinion. Take a different look at it from a different set of eyes and see what you guys come up with and what you think you have enough cover. You know, that's my advice on that. But there's so many different types. There's no right type of blind that's going to be more successful than others. You know, so don't be afraid to try different things. Try different types of cover. You know, that's another thing. You know, the whole palmetto thing. Whenever I started doing that a couple of years ago, a couple of my hunting buddies were like, "Man, palmettos, that don't look like nothing.
That's
You
what I
know,
said.
that don't look natural." And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks natural. Everywhere in the swamp that we go has palmettos down here. Just about. If you're around swamp and water, you're gonna have palmettos."
Yeah, like you said, like the only places that don't have it are like marshes and all that.
Yeah, and even some of the marshes have a few palmettos. You know, so it's pretty. It's something that I think is maybe I just see it different. You guys may disagree, but it's something that I see as being very natural with where we hunt down here in Louisiana. And you know, I know I'm speaking to a lot of you are guys that hunt here in Louisiana. You know, and if you're not in Louisiana, you may hunt somewhere totally different. You're going to have different surroundings, different natural habitat. So you may be using something else that I'd love to hear. You know, what do you guys use to brush up your blinds? You know, traditionally, like I said, fast grass has always been the easiest access for a boat blind to be able to go to the store, go to your Cabela's, go to your Bass Pros, and pick up. But yeah, that natural stuff, moss and palmettos have worked very well for us. Moss is awesome. I think that's just a great natural forage that we can use.
To me, I think moss is better.
You like moss better?
What do you like better?
Yeah, I like moss as well, but I think it's a combination we need of it. You know, the cool thing about the palmetto thing, and I'm going back to that again, is what do? I did have my buddy I talked to this week when I told him about the palmetto situation that we use on the blind. He said, "Well, what do y'all do?" He said, "Does it roll up well when you have your blind rolled up and stored?" I said, "Well, we don't actually roll up the palmettos in our blind. We just pull them out of the elastic that we have on the outside of the blind, and we put them flat down in the boat." The good thing about palmettos is that they actually stack flat, don't take up a lot of room at all. And we'll just pull them out at the end of the hunt. We'll stack them in the bottom of the boat, and we use them next time we go hunting. We'll pull them off the floor, and then we'll put them back on our blind as a finishing touch before we get ready to hunt.
Yeah, and like we'll use them to cover the blind, and then if we have any extras left over, we'll put them on the bottom of the blind while we're hunting and cover any like kind of bright stuff like our gun cases.
That's right. That's a good point. So inside the boat, if you're worried about seeing inside the boat or birds working over the top of you and looking down into the boat and seeing stuff, that stuff that sometimes you overlook inside the boat, like your gas tanks. You know, most of us have orange gas tanks, red gas tanks. You know, stuff that you might want to cover up. You know, that's what we use the excess palmettos that we may not put on the blind during the hunt. We'll use those to cover that stuff inside, because on our blind we have, like I said, shooting ports that we pop up out of the top of it. So there is holes on the top of the blind, so we try to cover that up. We'll lay some down on top of the blind where the shooting ports are, because we used to do our gun cases a lot of times on top just to kind of lay across. We'll use that stuff to be able to cover up some of that stuff that may be visible from above. But the cool thing about it is they fan out, so they cover a wide area. You don't have to use as much of them, you know, to brush up. Not nearly as much as we do with moss or fast grass and stuff like that, you know. And at the end of the day, guys, it's all free. Mother Nature provides it. It doesn't cost you a dime. Much cheaper than buying fast grass and all that type of stuff. But once again, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking fast grass. I just personally didn't find that it was worth the money when I was using it on my setup. But you guys may love it. You may have very good luck with it. It does look very natural, especially when you hunt the marshes, the coastal marshes. So that's always a good thing. You know, it's going to blend in really well. So don't stray away from it. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm just saying, as much as it costs nowadays, I didn't find it was worth the money, and I was constantly having to, put more on the blind and add to it just to keep it up to par to what I thought it needed to be to look natural, So, anything else with blinds that you got to cover?
Not really.
Okay. Well, that's all I got, guys, this week. I hope you enjoyed the stories we shared on this episode. I really enjoyed having you on, son. It's always a pleasure when you and I get to spend some time together. I love you. I'm glad you're with me to share all these experiences, and I look forward to making some more memories with you and your brother this year. And guys, we can't thank you enough for tuning in to this episode of Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do now and share our stories with you and meet the people that we meet out there, because we have met so many of you out there that are just absolute great guys, great women, a lot of women that are in hunting now that we've got to share conversations with. And we enjoy it each and every time we get to spend some time and talk with you. And we certainly enjoy talking with you on a every week when we get to sit down and share our stories with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to visit us on social media. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram. You can get us on Instagram. We put a lot of content up on Instagram, spending a lot of time on there. Yeah. And also don't forget to visit us. I know some of you are streaming us right now on YouTube. You're seeing our beautiful faces that are really made for radio. I always joke about that because my face is definitely made for radio, not for TV. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribing to our YouTube channel, checking out all the videos. We have been working hard lately to get videos up on YouTube on the channel for you guys, and we got some more coming. We got some more headed that way, so stay tuned, subscribe, so you guys are alerted whenever we have new videos drop. But thank you in general. Thank you so much for following us, and we appreciate you sharing our stories, our name out there. And Jackson, you got something to say in closing?
Whenever you said to like and subscribe, also make sure to hit the notification bell.
The notification bell. Dad's not up to par on all that stuff. So, yes, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we have new stuff hit the channel. So, that's it. That's all I got, guys. Until next week, this is Jacob and Jackson with Last Stop Waterfowl Outdoors. And we'll see y'all later on. Y'all have a good week, guys.